Sagittarius, welcome to my channel. Sagittarius, as I mentioned in the Solar Eclipse Initiation video and podcast, on 10th of June, Sun and Moon will come together as a solar eclipse at 19 degree 47 minutes of Gemini, along with North Node to plant a new seed, which would color our next 6 months. We would have 6 planets physically parallel and anti-parallel in the sky with the karmic nodes, like the whole universe is conspiring to bring something to pass. In this moment of eclipse, after a period of reconsideration and confusion, we are meant to see things clearly. It may not yet be time to start anew or announce, or external messaging might still be delayed till after 22nd of June, but the initiation of the new thinking, of the new mind begins. A new thought form of your partnerships and commitments and a contract is born. And from that we create our forward life path. North Node is where we stumble, we get up, and yet we start again, because it's our path of forward growth of this lifetime. It's our karma of this lifetime. Right now, North Node, after 19 years, is in your house of partnerships, and it's the period of greatest fated shifts in your personal and professional contracts. For you Sagittarius, that time started from May of 2020. This is the last 6 months of this karmic growth in our commitments and partnerships. This mingles with the lunar eclipse in your sign, which aims at releasing an old identity, an old belief of who you are or should be. As you open your life to others, in this new chapter of your life, gains come from others. Gains come from love, partnership, and clients. Today, we would not so much focus on just this one event alone, but more on what next 6 months are supposed to teach us and what kind of evolution our mind is undergoing, where one kind of thought form is being released and a new one, which becomes our new identity, is born, and it would serve us for the next 19 years. We never stop growing, but eclipses in our sign and in our opposite sign take our life path and our marriage or partnership or contract through leaps in matter of days and months, which would normally take many years to come to pass. Those events happen. If you're old enough, this kind of growth and these kind of changes would have been experienced back in 2002. Your access of identity and recognition from others is being activated. Over the course of next 6 months, one adventure of your life ends and another one begins. As promised, we would go deeper into all of this as it's relevant for the rest of the year for you. I will be putting timestamps both in the comments as well as in the details section. The whole reading will be organized like in chapters, so you can come back to it over the course of next 6 months to refer back to individual sections of it. My name is Charu and I'm your host on this journey. So let's begin. Sagittarius, the 10th of June eclipse starts a new phase in your partnerships, commitments, contracts, professional and personal contracts, as you redefine not just existing commitments and contracts, but change the very definition of what a partnership means to you. This is a life transit which happens once in 19 years, and our partnership and the way we connect with others goes through fated shifts in this period. Though this process started in May of 2020, the eclipses in this area, like right now, they give added impetus for a new start, new contracts, new partnerships, sometimes marriage of the minds, a new phase in sharing, diplomacy, personal or professional partnerships, they begin. This might have been in making for a while. Key steps might have been taken in early January and then early April. But now, with some back and forth and reconsiderations, we are finally moving ahead. There are still some confusions and possible blind spots that we are yet to know of. That's why it's better to hold signing on things till a few days after Mercury goes direct on 22nd of June and Neptune goes retrograde on 25th of June. The period after that, a lot of things will be revealed which you might not be knowing right now. Much is yet to be revealed, but you might have some inkling, some intuition, and some directional knowledge of where you want to go and who do you want to go with. An old identity is left way behind as we move forward with this. Your way of being in a relationship, or the kind of business partnership you're entering into, or the kind of contract with a client or a partner you're committing to, they will be very unique and different from what you have done before. The partners or the people we engage with, they're very unique. They have a very different kind of knowledge. They're clever, possibly young, or at least they are youthful and lively in nature. We are looking for that kind of connection. We are looking for that kind of social connections. This is a renewal in how we handle relationships, and it comes once in 19 years. We would be living the last 6 months of this very important life transit, and some very important people enter our life for a long period of time during this time, where these are the people who would grow with us, and we will grow through them. We will grow through the experience with them. We would learn from them, both personally and professionally. These could be business partnership, which would greatly help you in getting what you want, or might result in growth in your business prosperity. Relationships or going in together becomes the source of growth for you and fulfillment. We also start a new phase in our ability to manage clients or use a new skill set, a new knowledge when we are handling or managing clients or audience. The skill set required to manage other people itself is going through a dramatic upgrade. Diplomacy, ability to skillfully present to them, navigate the audience, all of that is going through a growth spurt of sorts. And that enhances your clientele. That enhances the value you bring to others. That enhances the value you bring to your audience and the value you bring to a relationship as well. We make contacts and normally share some very important news during this transit, but because of Mercury retrograde right now till after 22nd of June, it's possible that the official announcement or the deal or the contract or the closing of something, it's sort of delayed to after 22nd of June, and it is best to be delayed after. Your style to engage with others is light, flirty, and fun, but it might have been under the thumb or changed over years. It's like you're finding your way back in some ways. You're finding yourself back in your element, in handling others, in being socially active, and marketing yourself actively to others, or at least marketing a new skill set or a product to others. Long-term contracts and agreements of personal and professional nature would be under a critical phase of being signed with skillful negotiation and diplomacy in process. This new contract or commitment might be in line with your intrinsic need to work with diverse set of people. You're looking for stimulation when it comes to your projects. You're looking for independence when it comes to both your professional as well as personal life. You need space to be able to operate, think, and do the things that you want to do. So the nature of this contract or the nature of this relationship could be very unique, and it holds the promise of intellectually stimulating conversations both with personal and professional partners. This is also your half birthday or half cycle of your solar cycle. So things which were seeded 6 months back, they would be coming for fruition. And you'll be looking back at the events of the past 6 months, evaluating the role of others in your life, strengthening the relationships that build you and jive more with you, especially with the one that you're becoming, because your own identity is shifting as well. You'll be bouncing ideas off friends or partners in your life about what to do over the course of next 6 months. Partners play a very important role in your intellectual pursuit, as they not only help you in knowledge growth, but they are supporters of your process of self-discovery. Finding the right ones is not easy. You have gone through possibly many bad lemons, and it is not just personal. Professionally, you might have gone through a process of getting up and falling down, which happens with North Node being here, that we make certain mistakes and then rediscover what we truly want in a relationship or in a contract. But through many changes, you might have found your way here. This period, you would be busy in putting down the details of it, trying to get it right. You'll be busy with others, consulting clients, or having lively discussions with your business and personal partners, which helps you lay down this new seed, this new way forward in a contract or a commitment. You last experienced these shifts back in 2002. In case you're old enough, you could look back, or you could look at a time which is closer by, which is December of 2011, when the reverse polarity happened. So in 2002, you might have decided to go into a business partnership, new client, get married. Things where we commit to another might have happened in 2002, which will be parallel to the themes that are coming up right now. But in 2011, the reverse themes came up. You were the center, you were the driver. So it's possible that somebody else might have made a sacrifice for you, or you had to let a relationship go in order to take care of yourself or your future or your identity in some ways, or a new identity that you wanted to pursue might have been born in December of 2011, but now that is being released. That old identity that you might have created, it could be a title, it could be an old contract that was created December of 2011, that is giving way to new one. Remember, in this equation, the partner, the client, the significant other would be the source of your growth instead of reverse, which might have happened in 2011 when it was more self-driven and independent. Right now, the growth isn't going together with somebody. While this eclipse influences all of Sagittarius, is because it's an important life transit, once in 19 years life transit. But the most influenced would be the ones with rising sun or moon around 20 degree of Sagittarius, plus or minus 3 degrees, which is around 17 degree to 23 degree of Sagittarius rising sun or moon. So if you are a Sagittarius sun, it would be born around 11th of December, 3 days before or 3 days after. You would feel this as a life-changing transit in which your contracts and relationships and partnerships would undergo a very significant change, and you already would know what that change is because it initiated close to 6 months back. I would briefly cover now Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is making an aspect with this solar eclipse, with this new start, and it is currently retrograde, and it is making a exact connection with the solar eclipse. So there is some information which is not yet clear. This whole new start has come after a whole lot of back and forth, but there might still be confusion or some information which we have not looked at, which will only come after further reconsideration during this period to 22nd of June, as Mercury is retrograde in your house of partnerships, and this clarity which we wait is integral part of this new start. It is important for you to know this information. It might be causing a delay in either you accepting a contract, making a commitment, or making an official announcement, or the other party might not be announcing things or signing off yet because of this. Commitments, spoken or unspoken, would be coming for a review in this time. Sometimes we need to look at the past before we can initiate the future, because there might be lessons in the past that we need to take care of, because there could be unresolved issues that could be in the past contract or a relationship, which we need to be careful of while stepping forward into this new cycle. Or there could be certain emotional patterns that repeat themselves, and we are trying to break that cycle in some ways, and that might be under consideration. Another thing that could be under consideration is blind spots. It's possible that there were things that we did not see before, which now, with careful reconsiderations, we start thinking of, and they need to be negotiated, they need to be reconsidered, they needed some back and forth discussion with either your business or personal partner or with a client whom you're trying to sign off something with. In general, commitments, relationships, and how we connect with others would be undergoing a review right now. How to walk the thin line between different partnerships, commitments, and relationships you have in life, that would also be a focus. Like a relationship with your spouse versus your parents, or relationship with one business partner versus another. What's unsaid needs to be said in this period till 22nd of June, and a lot of old issues would be coming out in the open and being handled right now, and they need to be handled before we go in. What we want from others is being aired, faced, and handled from our business and personal partners, as well as our clients and professional contracts. There might be certain miscommunications, misunderstandings with business partner, with personal partners, with clients that needs to be cleared out. There would be need to know each other's perspective more, and like the whole truth is not known, and that is needed to come out. Renegotiation of commercial contracts could be happening right now because there were certain texts we missed out, or certain clauses were not in there, or there is something different you want. We will be redefining how we relate to others on a psychological basis as well, because a very different part of our psyche and brain is activated at this time. So the needs we had, or the thing we want from other, which we may not have said before, might be said now. Similarly, something from your partner which they did not say before, maybe that's being aired right now. The skills that we use to connect with others, they would also be a theme of review. It's possible that you need to upskill, or you need to take a course, or need to learn something, or need to get more savvy with some technical stuff to get through to your audience in some ways, and you might be working on that. All previous assumptions of connecting with others are revisited here. There could be issues or discord that need to be nipped in the bud, as we might have taken things for granted in the past. Give and take in partnerships or relationships would be under negotiations. These are intellectual discussions, in my view, and they could be very much influential in your career choices. They do run deeper than the words that are being said, but the words might be still, in my view, light. Sometimes we meet our previous partner, sometimes a past person from our life, a lover, or an old client, or a contract, or something from the past, which is a relationship from the past, possibly a spouse who we separated with or divorced from. They come in the present because there's unfinished business. And they also come in the present time for us to understand how we handle the relationship from a different person's perspective, to get on an equal footing, to clear the air in some ways. There might be some disclosures with our exes which might be happening right now. It doesn't mean that we go back, but that information is critical for you to move forward. That information is critical to be revealed and move forward from. These could be unresolved topics and issues from 2015, May or June of 2015 to be exact, when we last had the cycle, which might be coming back up for handling. People and events from 2015 might recreate themselves if the issues were not fully addressed or spoken at the time. We start to pave the way forward from the time of the eclipse on 10th, but it may not yet be time to sign off things, which is better done post the retrograde period is over after 22nd of June, a few days later after that. It could be a client contract which needs a lot of back and forth, possible miscommunication business which needs handling, a client miscommunication which needs handling, a technical issue of a platform with a client or a misunderstanding. This is a phase of growth in our partnerships and recognition by others, but it comes after some reconsideration, some possible misunderstanding in June which need to be cleared. Have patience with it. Let all the facts come to surface by month end before setting things in stone. Mercury rules your career and your title. Even if the confusion and discussion are on your personal partnerships, they would influence your career choices and they would influence your career. Let's talk about the lunar eclipse that just happened in your sign. The lunar eclipse of 26th of May, which would influence us all the way to 19th of November, would also continue to influence us with this new start for the rest of the year, as it's very much about a release. For something new to start, something old has to be given up. And that's the theme of that lunar eclipse that just happened, which will come with a karmic event which will happen in the first week or the first 10 days of September, when a cord from the past is cut in some ways. It's a karmic release which happens from something that was integral to our life. It could be a title that we held, a name that we had, an old identity, an old life that we had for the last 19 years in some ways, that is being released. Everything we thought and believed about who we should be and must be might have come to question since May of 2020. And now we are in some ways accepting that a big chapter of our life and our identity is getting over. To gain something, we need to release something. And sometimes a role in our life gets over. Our identity, our title, our outdated beliefs about ourselves, our role as a teacher, as a father figure, or as an influencer, or as sometimes the head of the family, or as a head of the business, or some identity where you were the teacher in some ways, or you were the alpha in some ways. That identity is released to merge with somebody or to merge into a new kind of identity. Our title as a foreigner sometimes, if we have been living away from our home, that also changes. Our mode of operation as a support and savior of others changes. This is coming for a release as a big chapter of your life is ending here. The ending may not fully show up till the first 10 days of September, when some physical event or a fated event finally snips the final cord. It might require a compromise or lowering of ego, because in some ways this is required, or it is almost, this event is almost an impetus to have that new beginning in your contracts and relationships. A solar eclipse always comes with a lunar eclipse. A new start comes with an ending. It might require you to accept that something that you thought is your way forward is not how life is going to look like in future, because some fundamental things have changed, and the new beginning and the new contract and the relationship requires you to go in a different direction. You're being asked to release control over who you thought you could be, so we can let universe fill it up with possibilities of something higher, different, and possibly more free and fun. This is a typical transit that takes the focus away from our idea of our life and puts the reins in the hand of the others in our life. In some ways, we are molded more by the others in our life during this time, and that is where the growth comes from. But we should be careful of our immunity, as we could physically feel weak at this time. It's like the attention of our own soul moves to something else other than ourselves, and that can feel a bit diffusing. Astrologers sometimes call this transit power outage for the ego. Like there's a power outage in our ego. We grow more spiritually. We get more soul's comfort and even love and happiness out of this. But physically and materially, it could seem like we have to give something up. And give something up substantial, which is integral part of us, to be in a new commitment. There could be an adventure like a bachelorhood or some old freedom we thought, or the old identity which we might be releasing to be someone different now. It quintessential looks like a person getting married, but the union where the partner is a more dominant player, or the alpha or the driver of the relationship. One thing I see in this transit which I would suggest to look out for is that we lose focus on our own physical well-being. It's just the nature of it, because our attention is somewhere else. A quintessential, again, a person like letting themselves go or compromising when we go after a marriage. It's not so much a compromise, just that the attention is not so much on you, which is fine as long as you're happy in that situation. But you would need to watch out for health with this. We tend to get addiction to things because things will seem up in the air when this transit happens. And as a Sagittarius sign, you're a fire sign. You're probably more used to being the alpha in relationships or partnerships. I say this with love. Take care of your body and your health at this time, because you'll need to make an effort to bring attention to yourself. It will not naturally come. So from a health and body perspective, you might need to pay a little bit attention. This release is very spiritual. It can even be freeing. It's like a burden which is being lifted, and you become free to merge with something bigger. And this release is felt by all of Sagittarius. Again, this is a life transit, but especially this would have already been felt by Sagittarius, early degree Sagittarius, around 5 degree of Sagittarius, 3 degrees before or after, which is 2 degree of Sagittarius to 8 degree of Sagittarius. So that's normally, if you're a Sagittarius sun, born in November, born around 27th of November to be specific, you would feel this release very strongly, and you might have already experienced something which is, causing this release. But it's a life transit for all of you. There is an old identity or an idea of what we thought our life could be, which is being released here. Now in this next session, I would cover the do's and the don'ts for the next 6 months. Normally I call it Road to Success, because it's sort of what are the things that are right to be done under the last 6 months of karmic growth that North Node in Gemini is giving, and the release that South Node in Sagittarius in your sign is supposed to give you. And these will intermingle with the eclipse themes that we have just discussed. These are the things that jive in with that. The first thing is relationships are going to get more lively, and opportunities will come from networking with others. So it's the time the next 6 months are critical in terms of circulating and meeting other people. Conversations are lighter. We stay off belief system discussions, opinion-based discussions. No moral standing or religious discussions. The extreme or heavy topics essentially, or the topics where the question of morals, the question of opinions comes into place, they are best left out, or as soon as the discussions become about things other than facts, try to stay away from it, because it's a losing argument sometimes, and you are looking for growth through those discussions, knowledge through those discussions versus opinions. Partners bring liveliness to relationships. Social interactions are stimulating, and usually we find partners who will question our comfort zone. It is something that we'll have to actively fight with ourselves, because we would tend to want to interact with people who are similar to us. When we go out and interact with people, we make friends with people who have similar opinions. But your growth is in interacting with people who have different knowledge from you. And not just different knowledge, they will be people or partners who question your comfort zone. And the growth will come from business partners and relationships who would question your comfort zone. Connect, listen, learn from others. Our ego will be asked to take a rain check in some ways, because we have to let a different perspective in at this time. It's just that time right now. We lighten up our view on life. We accept that there are multiple gray areas of existence. The moral code that others follow is not going to be same as ours. So we have to stay open to the gray areas of life in terms of social interactions with others. You are more likely to have a problem of plenty when it comes to people, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to people wanting your attention, acquaintances, relationships wanting your attention. I alluded to that in the Mercury retrograde section as well. You might need to balance it out. There might be too many people who want this period, who want to take attention away from each other. In some ways, it's like, as I said, it's like spouse versus parents, one friend versus another, one partner versus another, those kind of things. So it's important to not scatter your energy. Focus on who do you want in your life moving forward, the person who enriches your life experience, the person who helps you grow. It's not about agreeing with you, it's not about comfort zone, it's about growing forward. So those are the people where your energy and attention would go. Adapting to partners or client needs would be required in this phase for growth. Close partnerships, marriages, business partnerships would require you to release some of your needs and even ego to make it happen. Make sure that those people and those clients and those contracts are worth it, because you would compromise for them, but the compromise has to be worth it in some ways. It has to help you grow. It has to help you get to the next phase of growth in your life. It's the best period to learn about client communication, acquiring skills that make you more effective in managing others, as it would be a source of growth for you. When you initiate a quest for it, the app tools are going to come on their own. You just have to try to find them. They will, because it's the right time for it, you will find those easily as well. The right tools, the right social media skill sets, the right high-tech environment setups, which, the state-of-the-art techniques which help you effectively communicate and connect with others. We learn through others in this period. This is not about going to school. This is about going to school with other people. So your social circle need to be of the people who can upgrade your knowledge. Someone else puts you on the map here. And we gain materially, not just psychologically, we gain materially from friendships, from partnerships, from clients, from relationships. Cost is our flexibility of our mind and our ego, and readiness to release a little bit of our own idea of how things should go. Foreign marriages are very common during this transit, but fake marriages or marriages that are not based on a lot of substance sometimes happen during this transit. I'm not saying all the marriages in this transit are fake, but we need to be a little bit careful of who is coming in, because we are open to influences, and sometimes that is not very discretionary. So there are certain confusions or blind spots which can happen in your personal life. I will cover that in the Neptune retrograde part, which is the last part of this reading as well. Some things are not well understood with foreigners. Like if something is lost in translation or poorly communicated. So we need to be careful about who's coming through when there are too many people coming through. Sometimes legal status of the person we're getting into marriage or partnership with, the actual legal status of that person is not very clear, and we need to be careful on those matters. Legal matters related to spouse, marriage, we need to look out for that. Open, unbiased dialogue in relationships, open dialogues in relationships, partnerships, openly telling each other this, rather than assuming, rather than using a bias in some ways. Openly having an objective discussion, fact checking, that is the road to success here. Remember, in current stage, you would be much more open, which is very much the intention of this transit, but due to that very same reason, as I mentioned, there could be some not so kosher elements that enter our life. But that is sometimes a learning experience, because we are right now having North Node in our relationship house. North Node is where we stumble down, get up again, learn our lesson, find the right final partner, the right structure, the right contract after a process of a lot of this, error and trial and error process. And this has been going on since 2020, so you might have gone through some of it. But just keep an extra eye open this month. I'm telling you this because of two reasons. We have Mercury retrograde right now, and Neptune is right now very, very strong, which is rose-tinted glasses. We are seeing things much more through a fog versus clearly right now. So if something new is coming right now in like a new contract, new relationship during this period, we have to be extra careful. In this whole process of next 6 months, and this process started in May of 2020, we are being humbled. We are being taught a lesson in selflessness in relationships, or selflessness even in business in some ways, where we have to keep the interest of our client, our business partner, or our personal partner much more at the forefront versus ours. We are not the central figure. And as a Sagittarius, as a normal alpha, that may not be your normal mode. So in some ways, we are being humbled here. If you start your own solo venture, which is normally not recommended in this situation, it's recommended that you go in with somebody. But say you have to start something solo, usually that is related to spiritual and creative matters, or it's related to philanthropy, or it's related to doing something pro bono, or it's related to doing things for charity. That is more apt outlet of doing things solo. One of the most wonderful things this transit teaches us is the art of creative delegation, where we let others play their parts versus us owning everything, doing everything, and handling everything. Let others inspire you for a change. Let others take their responsibility in this new model of partnership and relationship. Learn the art of creative delegation, where we let others play their alpha parts versus everything being on our head. This will be one of the most critical lessons professionally and personally you would be taking on. Remember, you have just gone through 1.5 years of a transit prior to 2020, which was all about leap in learning the art of retaining relationships, where the balance give and take, healthy give and take in relationships. So if you're starting a new contract, remember the lessons that came through before 2020, before May of 2020 for you, which were in the field of handling the healthy boundaries professionally, personally, and in money especially with partners, and even in contracts with clients, the right legal and monetary boundaries. And you possibly learned that through some stumbles which happened before May of 2020. It's possible that you would need to start things without knowing full details in the sense that something is starting, but there's no order to things, because it's like very fast, it's very quick, or it's very fated in some ways. Confusion, yes, we want to clear, but every detail will not be evident. Putting things in order is more a topic of 2022. Right now, things will initiate, they would progress, but the kind of order and the kind of setup you're looking for, where things are more streamlined, that will be more a topic of 2022. In fact, in December, we'll have North Node in your house of putting things to order, bringing, order to life. That is the time when we have to take those steps. These themes are very much consistent with the Saturn-Uranus square themes, which are also playing out in parallel. Saturn square Uranus will become exact for the second time on 14th of June, and that will work parallelly with these eclipses for the next 6 months. Uranus is prompting you to find a work situation which is more flexible, more state of art, or unique in some ways. And Saturn is restructuring your voice, your mind, making you work hard on upskilling your commercial and communication skills. These jive in very well with the eclipses. I covered the Saturn square Uranus separately because it's a year-long transit for 2021. It's the key transit of 2021. I covered that in your full year video. I'll link it in the description and in the comments if you want to review that, because that aspect is also becoming exact again on 14th of June. Now, in the last part of this reading, I want to address the pink elephant in the room, which is the Neptune fog. Neptune is fog and rose-tinted glasses, and it's the higher octave of love. It's selfless love. As long as the selfless love is given knowingly versus being taken advantage of, there's nothing wrong in it. But we have to be careful of certain blind spots that it brings with it. Neptune is very strong this month. It makes a harsh aspect with this new start in your partnership and relationship, which is why, while I've been asking you to dive forward with others, I've also been asking you to be careful and keep your eyes open, as we might have blind spots. I've said it before, Sagittarius have no boundaries when they let somebody into their home, because those people, after they have been in their home, sometimes take advantage of the trust that Sagittarius place on them. There are certain people who can go overboard in taking too much while giving too less in your personal life. And you would see some of the blind spots, especially in your personal life after Neptune goes direct after 25th of June. As soon as Sagittarius starts calling somebody family, even if they're business partners, I have seen that the boundaries start getting encroached upon. And some of those boundaries are borderline taking advantage or unfair in some ways. Neptune here has also been creating confusion about possibly your family structure or the place of living. And sometimes there's an ocean which is placed between us and our home or the loved ones, and there's a distance. Neptune takes us on a voyage which is far off from where our comfort zone or home is. It takes us sometimes physically away from our parents and country of birth. Neptune has been in this location, which is not an easy one, since 2011, and it greatly impacts our personal life because the very ground we stand on is not firm when it comes to personal life and place of living. Living by the sea or water is helpful with this transit, but personal life seems to be in a flux in some ways. The good manifestation of this is that after trial and error, we create a new home within ourselves or find a spiritual home, a spiritual practice that makes us feel more grounded, more safe and secure within, versus looking outside in flesh or in property for stability or in a relationship for stability. Neptune here takes us through a period of seclusion because we sometimes get so lost in our personal entanglements. Personal life is so much in a flux that we are not able to be social in some ways, which is your normal mode. Being out and about, being interactive, being with friends is supposed to be the archetype of Sagittarius. But the Neptune transit has possibly taken you away from all of that because it makes us get lost in personal obligations, entanglements, or emotional depth. And all of these themes that I just described of Neptune, they conflict with the agenda of getting out there, networking, hobnobbing, getting into a partnership. And that is the personal hurdle. That is the hurdle we need to cross to this new start. Neptune is a key hurdle we need to cross. It adds an element of doubt and instability, feeling that this will not last. Whether it's a personal partnership or professional partnership, if the ground we stand on is not strong, then we wait for the other shoe to drop somehow. And sometimes we make it happen. There is an emotional pattern, an old emotional pattern, a personal problem, which could come from the time of your upbringing. It's possible that as a child, one of the parents was not there, or one of the parents was unreliable. I'm sorry to say that, but it's possible that there is a pattern that you were exposed to in your personal life when you were a child, which comes into play and it blocks you to give fully yourself to another, or makes you feel or believe something about yourself which is not true at all, because we are not our parents, we are not our upbringing, we are our own person. So sometimes we relate too much or idealize too much one of our parents, which comes in the way of engaging fully in a personal or professional partnership, because we think that the partnerships are not permanent, or the ground we stand on is going to shift as soon as I get into it. It's going to evolve, it's going to change, or I would want out of it in some ways, or I would be made to sacrifice fully who I am if I'm in a relationship. So there's a personal hurdle that you are possibly needing to overcome to be able to fully engage in a personal or professional partnership, or to be socially successful, or to even make friends or close partners. It could be a unique need of safety or security. Because when we don't have safety and security built into ourselves, because as a child we did not have it, then we look for it outside, and that kind of safety and security, nobody can make you feel secure like that. We'll very quickly start doubting that someone could hold the kind of love we want. And it could be physically, sometimes it's a very mundane issue, like we don't know where we want to settle down. Home situation is so much in flux. Actual place of living is so much in flux. If you don't have an actual fixed place of living, which in this transit you usually don't, then you don't know whether you can settle down with somebody or you can accept a contract. It could be sometimes an issue with a parent who we idolize, them not liking the kind of partnership we want to engage in, or the kind of work we want to change to, or the contract we want to go for. Maybe it's not in line with their value system. We give our family, our home, our place of living, and our need for security in this conflict too much control over the choice we need to make about our business and personal partnership, which becomes a hurdle to cross. Wanting to be an ideal parent can conflict with wanting to connect fully with a partner, or finding a partner, or being socially active. Not knowing where you want to live can come in the way of signing a work contract. Family obligation can take you away from the contract you wish to sign, or take you away from the partner or the marriage or the commitment you want to give yourself to. There is a blind spot that you do have when it comes to parents, home, place of living, family, and parenting style, which is seeking a sacrifice, but you need to make an objective decision here. The good thing is that Jupiter is right now briefly transiting your home and family sector. So it's giving you more faith to cross this psychological barrier you have. And it might even give some support in an actual person helping you out, which can happen around 23rd of June, to help you make this bold step to cross this threshold. Some sort of support external support that comes through, but we cannot rely on that because this is more a transit for 2022. You will have to yourself cross this threshold in some ways. Somebody can give you a little bit of a push, but that personal hurdle is an internal battle that you need to fight. Full support and expansion of your personal house, family, and place of living will only come through in 2022 when Jupiter, your ruler, fully comes in your house of home, family, place of living after 13 years, finally giving you some relief. But know that right now you would need to face a personal conundrum which would need resolving by a compromise, by overcoming your own internal inhibition, your own value system, and your own blind spots. When Neptune goes direct after 25th of June, those blind spots will come out in the open. It could be the mom or the dad we idealize. It could be a place of living we idealize. It could be some surreal, unrealistic view of a family structure which can come in daylight. It could come in a more objective review. It is also possible that some family skeletons in the closet might come to light, and that might change your whole perspective over what you were idealizing so far and shift your perspective about the kind of conflict you're having right now. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. Have a great season of eclipses and the next 6 months ahead. I'll see you in the next reading now. Thank you.